Our story begins thousands of years ago in ancient Israel. Picture this: a beautiful valley called the Valley of Elah. The sun is shining, birds are singing, but this peaceful place has become a battlefield. On one side of the valley, there's the army of Israel. These are the people of God, led by their king, whose name is Saul. The soldiers wear simple armor and carry shields and spears. They look worried and afraid. On the other side of the valley stands the enemy, the Philistine army. These warriors are Israel's greatest enemies. They have better weapons, stronger armor, and they look ready for war. For 40 days, these two armies have been standing there, facing each other across the valley. But no one is fighting. Why? Because the Philistines have a secret weapon. And this weapon is terrifying. Every morning, something happens that makes the soldiers of Israel shake with fear. The ground begins to rumble. The Philistine soldiers step aside, making a path. And then he appears. His name is Goliath. Goliath is not just a soldier. He is a giant. The Bible tells us he stands over 9 feet tall. That's almost as tall as a basketball hoop. Imagine looking up at someone that big. His arms are like tree trunks. His legs are like pillars of stone. But Goliath's size isn't the only scary thing about him. He wears bronze armor from head to toe. His helmet shines in the sunlight. His armor coat weighs about 125 pounds. That's as heavy as a grown person. He carries a huge bronze javelin on his back and a massive spear in his hand. The iron point of his spear alone weighs 15 pounds. A soldier walks in front of Goliath, carrying an enormous shield to protect him. Every morning for 40 days, Goliath walks down into the valley. He stops in the middle, and then he shouts. His voice booms across the valley like thunder. "Why do you come out and line up for battle?" Goliath yells. "I am a Philistine, and you are servants of Saul. Choose one man to come down and fight me. If he wins and kills me, we will become your slaves. But if I win and kill him, you will become our slaves and serve us." Then Goliath laughs, a horrible mocking laugh that echoes off the hills. "I dare the army of Israel today. Send me a man and let us fight." When King Saul and his soldiers hear this challenge, their hearts sink with fear. No one moves. No one speaks. No one dares to face the giant. Goliath stands there, waiting, mocking, laughing. Then, when no one comes, he turns around and walks back to his camp. He will return tomorrow. He always does. Now, while all this is happening at the battlefield, let's travel to a small town called Bethlehem, just a few miles away. Here, we meet a young man named David. David is a shepherd. He takes care of his father's sheep in the fields and hills around Bethlehem. He's probably only a teenager, maybe 16 or 17 years old. He's not very tall, not very strong, and he doesn't look like a warrior at all. David is the youngest of 8 brothers. His 3 oldest brothers, Eliab, Abinadab, and Shammah, have gone to join King Saul's army. They're at the Valley of Elah right now, standing with the other soldiers, listening to Goliath's daily challenge. David's job is simple: watch the sheep, keep them safe from wild animals, and make sure none of them get lost. It's quiet work, peaceful work. David spends his days in the fields, playing his harp and singing songs to God. He writes beautiful poems about God's greatness and power. But David's life is about to change in a way he never imagined. One day, David's father, Jesse, calls him in from the fields. "David," Jesse says, "I need you to take some food to your brothers at the army camp. Take this roasted grain and these 10 loaves of bread. Also, take these 10 chunks of cheese to their commander. Check on your brothers and see how they're doing. Then bring me back news." Early the next morning, David leaves another shepherd in charge of his sheep. He packs up the food and starts walking toward the Valley of Elah. It's a long walk, but David doesn't mind. He's excited to see his brothers and the army camp. When David arrives, the army is getting ready for battle. Soldiers are putting on their armor, sharpening their swords, and moving into position. David runs to the battle lines, looking for his brothers. He finds them and starts talking with them, asking them how they are. He's giving them the food from their father when suddenly the ground starts to shake. David turns and looks. The Philistine army is parting, making a path. And then David sees him for the first time. Goliath. The giant strides forward, his armor clanking with every step. He looks even more terrifying up close. David watches, stunned, as Goliath stops in the middle of the valley and begins his challenge. "Choose a man to fight me." Goliath roars. "If he defeats me, we will be your slaves. But if I defeat him, you will serve us. I dare you, Israel. Send someone to fight me." David looks around at the soldiers of Israel. They're all backing away from the battle line. Their faces are pale with fear. Some are actually trembling. Not a single man steps forward. David is confused. "Who is this man?" he asks the soldiers near him. "Why does he dare to challenge the armies of the living God?" The soldiers explain the situation to David. "This has been going on for 40 days, they tell him. "Every morning that giant comes out and challenges us. King Saul has promised great rewards to anyone who defeats him. The king will give that man great wealth, his own daughter in marriage, and will make his father's family tax-free in Israel. But no one is brave enough to fight Goliath." David can't believe what he's hearing. He keeps asking different soldiers about the situation, trying to understand why no one will fight this man who is insulting God and his people. David's oldest brother, Eliab, overhears David asking these questions. Eliab gets angry. He's embarrassed in front of the other soldiers, and he takes it out on David. "Why did you come down here?" Eliab snaps. "Who's watching those few sheep in the wilderness? I know you. You're just a prideful boy who came down here to watch the battle." But David doesn't back down. "What have I done wrong?" he asks calmly. "Can't I even ask a question?" David's words reach someone important. A soldier tells King Saul that there's a young man talking boldly about fighting the giant. King Saul sends for David immediately. When David stands before the king, he doesn't look impressive. He's young, probably dusty from traveling, and wearing simple shepherd's clothes. But when David speaks, his voice is strong and confident. "Your Majesty," David says, "don't let anyone lose heart because of this Philistine. I will go and fight him." King Saul looks at David in disbelief. He sees a teenager, not a warrior. "You can't fight this Philistine," Saul says. "You're only a boy, and he's been a warrior since his youth. He's been training for war his entire life." But David has a story to tell. "Your Majesty," David begins, "I have been taking care of my father's sheep. Sometimes a lion would come, or a bear, and it would carry off a sheep from the flock. When that happened, I went after it. I struck it down and rescued the sheep from its mouth. If the lion or bear turned on me, I grabbed it by its fur, struck it, and killed it." The soldiers listening nearby are amazed. Lions and bears are the most dangerous animals in the land. But David speaks so calmly, as if he's talking about something ordinary. David continues, "I have killed both lions and bears. This uncircumcised Philistine will be just like one of them, because he has dared to challenge the armies of the living God. The Lord who rescued me from the paw of the lion and the paw of the bear will rescue me from the hand of this Philistine." There's something in David's voice, a quiet confidence, a deep faith, that touches King Saul's heart. The king has no other options. No one else will fight. What does he have to lose? "Go," King Saul finally says, "and may the Lord be with you." King Saul wants to help David. He takes off his own tunic and puts it on David. He places his bronze helmet on David's head. He dresses David in his own coat of armor. Remember, King Saul is the tallest man in Israel. His armor is made for a giant of a man. On David it looks ridiculous. The armor hangs loose. The helmet keeps slipping down over David's eyes. David straps on Saul's sword over the armor and tries to walk. He can barely move. David takes a few steps and nearly trips. The armor is too heavy, too big, too awkward. This isn't going to work. "I can't fight in this," David tells Saul honestly. "I'm not used to it." So David takes it all off, the helmet, the armor, the sword. He sets them aside. Instead, David picks up his shepherd's staff, the simple wooden stick he uses every day to guide his sheep. This is familiar. This feels right. Then David walks down to a stream nearby. He looks carefully at the smooth stones in the water. He picks up 5 smooth stones and puts them in his shepherd's bag. Finally, he takes out his sling, a simple weapon made of leather and cord that shepherds use to protect their flocks from wild animals. With just his staff, his sling, and 5 stones, David walks toward the giant. Goliath comes forward, moving closer to meet David. His shield-bearer walks in front of him, carrying that enormous shield. When Goliath gets close enough to see David clearly, he stops. And then Goliath starts laughing. He can't believe his eyes. Israel has sent a boy, a child, someone not even wearing armor, someone carrying a stick like he's going to herd sheep. Goliath feels insulted. He feels mocked. His face turns red with anger. "Am I a dog," Goliath shouts, "that you come at me with sticks?" Then Goliath begins to curse David, using the names of his Philistine gods. He wants to frighten this boy, to make him run away in terror. "Come here," Goliath roars, "and I'll give your flesh to the birds of the air and the wild animals." It's a horrible threat. Goliath is saying he'll kill David and leave his body unburied for vultures and wild beasts to eat. In that culture, this is the worst insult imaginable, to have no proper burial. The soldiers of Israel watching from the hillside feel sick with fear. They're sure they're about to watch a young man die. But David doesn't run. David doesn't shake with fear. Instead, he speaks. David's voice rings out across the valley, clear and strong. "You come against me with sword and spear and javelin," David shouts. "But I come against you in the name of the Lord Almighty, the God of the armies of Israel, whom you have defied." Every soldier on both sides of the valley is listening now. The Philistines are curious. The Israelites are holding their breath. David continues, his words filled with absolute confidence. "This very day the Lord will hand you over to me. I'll strike you down and cut off your head. Today I will give the dead bodies of the Philistine army to the birds and wild animals. Then the whole world will know that there is a God in Israel." The soldiers of Israel can hardly believe what they're hearing. This young shepherd is declaring victory before the battle even starts. David shouts one more thing, the most important thing of all. "Everyone gathered here will know that it is not by sword or spear that the Lord saves. The battle belongs to the Lord, and he will give all of you into our hands." Goliath has heard enough. He begins moving forward, advancing to meet David and kill him. Each step the giant takes shakes the ground. But David doesn't wait. David doesn't stand still in fear. Instead, David runs. He runs quickly toward the battle line to meet Goliath. His feet fly across the rocky ground. As he runs, David reaches into his bag and takes out one stone. He puts it in his sling. The sling is a simple weapon, but in skilled hands, it's deadly accurate. David has used it hundreds of times in the fields, protecting his sheep. He knows exactly how it works. He's practiced this motion thousands of times. David starts to swing the sling around his head, faster and faster. The stone becomes a blur of motion. David's eyes are focused on one target, the one spot on Goliath's body that isn't covered by armor. Goliath's forehead. At exactly the right moment, David releases the stone. The stone flies through the air like a bullet. It travels in a perfect arc across the distance between David and Goliath. Time seems to slow down. Everyone watches the stone's path. And then, crack! The stone strikes Goliath right in the center of his forehead. The sound echoes across the valley. The stone sinks deep into Goliath's skull. For a moment, Goliath just stands there, a look of surprise frozen on his face. Then, like a great tree being cut down, the giant begins to fall. Boom! Goliath crashes face down to the ground. The earth shakes with the impact. His weapons clatter beside him. The giant lies still. He doesn't get up. He doesn't move. Goliath is dead. David runs forward to where Goliath has fallen. He stands over the giant's body. David doesn't have his own sword, So he pulls Goliath's massive sword from its sheath. David lifts the heavy blade, it probably takes all his strength, and brings it down on Goliath's neck. David cuts off the giant's head. For a moment, there's absolute silence in the valley of Elah. Both armies are frozen in shock. No one can believe what just happened. A shepherd boy has killed the greatest warrior of the Philistines. Then the silence breaks. The army of Israel erupts with a mighty shout of victory. The sound is deafening. The soldiers raise their weapons in the air, cheering and praising God. Their fear is gone, replaced by joy and courage. But the Philistines react differently. They see their champion lying dead on the ground. They see his head in the hands of a boy. Terror fills their hearts. Their greatest warrior has been defeated by a child with a sling. The Philistines turn and run. They flee toward their towns of Gath and Ekron, desperate to escape. But now the men of Israel and Judah are filled with courage. They surge forward with a battle cry, chasing the Philistines. They pursue them all the way to the gates of their cities. The Israelites win a great victory that day. They plunder the Philistine camp, taking all their supplies and equipment. The camp that seemed so threatening just hours ago is now abandoned, left behind by an army running for their lives. David takes Goliath's weapons as a trophy. Later, he will take the giant's head to Jerusalem. Word of David's victory spreads like wildfire throughout Israel. As David and the army return from the battle, something amazing happens. Women come out from all the towns of Israel to meet King Saul. They're singing, dancing, and celebrating with tambourines and other instruments. They're filled with joy because of this incredible victory. The women sing a song, and it goes like this: Saul has slain his thousands, and David his tens of thousands. It's a song of celebration, honoring the young hero who saved Israel. The name David is suddenly on everyone's lips. People want to know, who is this shepherd boy? Where did he come from? How did he become so brave? David's life has changed forever. He went to the battlefield as a simple shepherd bringing food to his brothers. He's returning as the greatest hero in Israel. The boy who no one noticed is now famous throughout the land.